chopsticks froze halfway to my mouth when Grandma Min asked the question that would change everything. "Jordan, sweetheart, did you enjoy your new car?" I blinked, setting down my bowl of rice. The familiar chatter around our dinner table, Susan discussing her latest yoga retreat, Cody scrolling through his phone for the 100th time, suddenly went dead silent. "What car, Grandma?" I laughed, thinking she might be confused. "I don't have a car. I still take the bus to work, remember?" The silence stretched longer. Susan's fork clinked against her plate. Dad cleared his throat and suddenly found his low mane fascinating. Even Cody looked up from his phone, his eyes darting between me and our parents like he was watching a tennis match. Grandma Min's weathered face crumpled into confusion. "But I sent the money months ago. For your graduation gift, the red Honda you wanted." My heart started pounding. "Grandma, I never even saw a set of keys." That's when I saw it, the look that passed between Susan and my father. Quick, panicked, guilty, like they'd been caught with their hands in a cookie jar, except this cookie jar was my life. "What else don't I know?" The words slipped out before I could stop them. Have you ever discovered your family was hiding something from you? Something that made you question everything you thought you knew about the people who were supposed to love you most? Share your story below, because what I'm about to tell you, it's been eating at me for months. I've changed some names, some details. This is still too raw, too real. But the betrayal? The moment everything shattered, that's all true. Let me paint you a picture of what my life looked like before that dinner. My name is Jordan, and at 26 I was basically invisible in my own home. I worked 2 jobs, mornings at a coffee shop downtown, evenings doing data entry from my cramped bedroom. Not glamorous, but I was saving every penny I could. You know that feeling when you're constantly tired but can't afford to slow down? That was my daily reality, my family. Well, calling it my family feels generous. After Mum died when I was 12, Dad married Susan 2 years later. She brought her golden boy Cody into our lives, and suddenly I became the awkward stepsister who didn't quite fit anywhere. Cody was 22 and everything I wasn't. Charismatic, social media savvy, always chasing the next viral moment. He had this way of commanding attention just by walking into a room. Susan would beam whenever he posted new content or talked about his influencer journey. Meanwhile, I'd come home exhausted from my double shifts, and the most acknowledgement I'd get was, "Jordan, can you clean up the kitchen when you're done?" It's like I was only needed when something needed fixing, cleaning, or paying for. The invisible daughter who kept the household running while everyone else chased their dreams. Dad. God, I love him, but he became this passive observer after Mom died. He'd nod along to whatever Susan said, rarely standing up for me when she made her little comments about my lack of ambition or how I should try harder to connect with the family. The only person who truly saw me was Grandma Min, my mum's mother. She'd call every week, send care packages, and always reminded me that I was destined for something bigger. "You have your mother's strength," she'd whisper during our phone calls. "Don't let them dim your light, little star. But here's the thing about being invisible. You start believing you deserve it. You convince yourself that maybe you really aren't worth celebrating, that maybe your accomplishments really aren't that important. When your own family treats you like background noise, you begin to fade into the background of your own life. I should have known something was wrong earlier. I should have questioned why Grandma's gifts never seemed to reach me, why her promises of help with college or a car never materialized. But when you're drowning in work and exhaustion, when you're constantly told you're too sensitive or imagining things, you stop trusting your own instincts. That dinner changed everything. Because what I didn't know was that Grandma's love had been reaching me all along, just not the way she intended. And when I discovered where it had really been going, it would shatter everything I thought I knew about family. You want to know what it's like to be erased from your own story? Let me tell you about the pattern I was too exhausted to see. When I graduated college, working full-time while taking night classes for 3 years, I walked across that stage to an audience of no one. Susan had a prior commitment, Dad had to work late, and Cody was filming content at some influencer event. I sat in my car in the parking lot afterward, still wearing my cap and gown, and cried until my mascara ran. 2 weeks later, Cody posted content about his epic weekend adventure that got 50,000 likes. Susan shared it on every social media platform she had, gushing about her creative genius son. When I got promoted to assistant manager at the coffee shop, my first real step up, I came home excited to share the news. Susan was on the phone, practically squealing to her sister about how Cody had gained 100 new followers that day. I stood in the doorway for 5 minutes before giving up and going to my room. But here's what really twisted the knife. Grandma Min would call, so proud, telling me about the money she'd sent for my celebration dinner, the gift card she'd mailed for new work clothes, the care package with my favourite snacks. "Did you get everything, sweetheart? I want to make sure you know how proud I am." And I'd lie, every single time. "Yes, Grandma, thank you so much." Because what was I supposed to say? That I never received any of it? That would mean admitting my own family was, what? Stealing from me? The thought was too painful to even consider. "We're handling Grandma's gifts for you, honey," Susan said when I asked about the birthday package tracking number I'd seen on Grandma's phone. "You know how scattered you can be with important things." Her smile was sharp. Besides, some of those items weren't really appropriate for someone your age. We donated them. But what I didn't know was that those donations had a very specific recipient. Meanwhile, Cody's social media presence kept growing. Designer clothes, expensive gadgets, weekend trips to trendy spots, all funded by his entrepreneurial spirit, according to Susan. I'd scroll through his posts during my lunch breaks, feeling this hollow ache in my chest. Not jealousy exactly, more like mourning. Mourning for the support I'd never had, the celebration I'd never received. There's this one video I can't forget. 2.3 million views. The sound of his voice saying, "Family that believes in you," while unboxing a MacBook Pro. The comments were insane. Goals. "Your family is everything." "Wish my parents supported me. If only they knew where that family support really came from. Grandma always said she was saving up for my dreams." And she was. What I found in that email account would prove she'd been saving more than I ever imagined. But it would also reveal the most devastating betrayal of my life. You know what the cruelest part was? I started making excuses for them. "They're busy," I'd tell myself. "Cody needs more attention because he's building something." I gaslit myself so thoroughly that I almost forgot what it felt like to expect better. Almost. The unravelling started with a piece of mail that wasn't supposed to reach me. I was grabbing the mail on my way to work when a bank statement slipped out of the pile, addressed to me but from an account I'd never seen before. My hands shook as I opened it in my car, and what I saw made my blood run cold. Deposits, large ones, monthly transfers from Min Chen, Grandma's account, thousands of dollars over the past 2 years, all flowing into an account with my name on it, an account I'd never opened, never accessed, never even knew existed. The most recent entry made me physically sick. Wire transfer, $8,500, Honda Civic purchase. I sat there in my beat-up car that barely started half the time, staring at a bank statement that proved my grandmother had bought me a car I'd never seen. That night I did something I'd never done before. I went through the family computer when everyone was asleep, Susan always left her email logged in, and what I found there, God, it was like discovering a whole other version of my life. A version where I was actually cared for, actually supported. Email after email from Grandma Min, care packages with tracking numbers, money transfers with notes like for Jordan's graduation celebration and to help with her work clothes and car fund. She's worked so hard. Every single gift, every dollar, every gesture of love, intercepted, redirected, stolen. But here's where it gets really sick. I found the DMV records. The red Honda Civic had been registered in my name, just like Grandma intended. But 3 days later, it was sold to a dealership for $7,800. The buyer listed on the paperwork, Cody Mitchell Chen. My stepbrother had sold my graduation gift and used the money to fund his content creation business. Those expensive camera setups, the ring lights, the editing software he was always bragging about, bought with my grandmother's love. I started recording everything after that. Late-night conversations between Susan and Dad about managing Jordan's finances for her own good. Cody joking with his friends about his inheritance from the old lady. Susan on the phone with her sister. She's too naive to handle that kind of money. We're protecting her from herself. The rage was building inside me like a pressure cooker, but I forced myself to be smart about it. I documented everything, screenshots, voice recordings, paper trails. If I was going to confront them, I needed proof they couldn't deny. Then came the message that changed everything. I was scrolling through social media when a DM popped up from an account I didn't recognize. The profile picture was a car lot, and the message made my heart stop. Hey, you should know what your family did with your car. I'm the guy who bought the Honda from your brother. He told me some story about needing quick cash for his business, but when I saw the registration, I got curious. That car was meant for you, wasn't it? I still have the paperwork if you want proof. This felt wrong, and I thought you should know. Attached was a photo of the sales receipt, Cody's signature, bold and careless, signing away my future like it meant nothing. I stared at that message for an hour, my hands trembling. This wasn't just about money anymore. This wasn't even just about the car. This was about every birthday that passed unnoticed, every achievement that was minimized, every time I was made to feel like I didn't matter. They hadn't just stolen from me. They'd stolen my grandmother's love and twisted it into funding for the golden child's dreams while I worked myself to exhaustion, believing no one cared. 3 days until the family dinner. I sat staring at the evidence spread across my bed. Part of me wanted to burn it all, pretend I'd never found it. These are the people who raised you. What if you're wrong? But then I remembered those nights crying myself to sleep, wondering why I wasn't worth loving. Even if it destroyed us, I had to know the truth. When I revealed what I'd discovered, it was going to be devastating. But I had no idea Cody would hand me the perfect stage for my revenge. Live in front of thousands of witnesses with no way to take it back. The night I chose to destroy everything, Cody was live streaming. What's up, fam? Tonight we're doing something special, a real family dinner with authentic Asian vibes. He had his phone propped up at the head of the table, ring light perfectly positioned to catch his candid family moment. The comments were already rolling in. Family goals, so wholesome. Cody's the best son ever, if only they knew. I sat in my usual spot, the corner chair where I'd been invisible for years, with my phone recording in my lap and a manila folder beside my plate. Susan was performing for the camera, talking about family values and supporting each other's dreams. Dad nodded along, like always. Grandma Min had joined us via video call, her face glowing with joy at seeing us all together. Before we eat, I said, my voice cutting through Susan's monologue, I have something to share. Cody barely looked up from monitoring his live comments. Make it quick, Jordan. We're kind of in the middle of content here. Content. My life had become content for his brand. I stood up, folder in hand. You're right, Cody. This is definitely going to be content. The shift in the room was immediate. Susan's smile faltered. Dad's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. Even Grandma Min leaned closer to her screen, sensing something was wrong. I found something interesting this week, I continued, opening the folder. Bank statements, sales receipts, email chains. Want to know what I discovered? Jordan, honey, maybe we should discuss this privately, Susan started, but I cut her off. No, we're doing this here, live, in front of everyone. I looked directly at Cody's phone camera. Hi, everyone watching. You're about to see what real family values look like. I pulled out the first document. This is a bank statement showing $47,000 that my grandmother sent over 2 years. Money meant for my education, my car, my future. Money I never saw. You could almost hear the collective gasp through the screen. Comments flooding. Wait, what? No way. Cody, explain now. The viewer count climbing, 500, 800, 200 people watching this train wreck in real time. Someone started screen recording. Drama channels were being tagged. This wasn't just going viral, it was about to become internet history. Cody finally looked up from his phone, panic flashing across his face. Jordan, what are you doing? I'm telling the truth for once, I held up the DMV paperwork. This is the registration for the car my grandmother bought me for graduation, the red Honda Civic. Ring any bells, Cody? His face went white. Susan jumped up from her seat. Jordan, stop this right now. And this, I continued, voice getting stronger, is the sales receipt showing how you sold my car 3 days later for $7,800. Money you used to buy all that equipment you're using right now to build your authentic brand. The silence was deafening except for the constant ping of notifications from his live stream. I could see the viewer count climbing. Drama was good for engagement after all. All these years you made me believe I was unworthy. Do you know what that does to someone? I grieved for a grandmother's love I thought I'd never received. I mourned opportunities I believed I'd never been given. You didn't just steal money, you stole my sense of worth. Grandma Min's voice cracked through the video call. Jordan, is this true? Dad finally found his voice. We were protecting you. Protecting me. I laughed, and it came out bitter and raw. From what? From being loved? From having opportunities? From feeling like I mattered? The comments were going wild now. I could see people taking screenshots, sharing the stream. Cody's carefully curated image was crumbling in real time. You want to know what family values really look like? I addressed the camera directly. It's working yourself to exhaustion while your step-family steals from you. It's being gaslit into believing you're imagining the neglect. It's watching your stepbrother profit off your grandmother's generosity while you eat ramen for dinner because you can't afford groceries. Susan was frantically gesturing for Cody to end the stream, but he seemed frozen, watching his follower count fluctuate as people shared and commented and dissected everything in real time. This isn't just about a car, I continued. It's about respect. It's about honesty. It's about the fact that you made me complicit in lying to the one person who actually loved me. Then Grandma Min's voice cut through everything. Jordan, pack your things. You're coming home with me. The power shift was immediate. Susan started crying. Real tears, not performance tears. Dad looked like he'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. And Cody was frantically trying to spin the narrative in real time. Guys, this is just family drama, you know. Every family has misunderstandings. But the comments had turned. His audience was calling him out, demanding answers, questioning everything they'd believed about his character. The golden boy was tarnishing before our eyes. If family means betrayal, I said, looking around the table one last time, maybe I'm better off alone. I walked out, leaving them to face the aftermath of their lies. Behind me, I could hear Susan sobbing, Dad trying to explain, and Cody desperately attempting damage control. But it was too late. The truth was out there now, spreading faster than they could contain it. And, for the first time in years, I felt free. 6 months later, I'm sitting in Grandma Min's kitchen in Portland, watching the rain streak down windows that actually feel like home, and I can finally breathe. The aftermath was messy, beautiful, but messy. Within hours of the live stream, Cody's video had been screen recorded and shared across every platform imaginable. Influencer exposed for stealing from family became the headline that followed him everywhere. His follower count plummeted from 200k to barely 30k in a matter of weeks. Brand partnerships evaporated overnight. The Golden Boy's empire crumbled faster than it had been built. Susan tried calling me for months, leaving voicemails that ranged from angry to pleading to downright desperate. "You've ruined this family," she'd sob into my phone. "Do you know what you've done to Cody's career, to our reputation?" Our reputation. Even in her apologies, it was never really about me. Dad, that hurt the most. He sent one text message 3 weeks after I left. "I'm sorry, I should have protected you better." That was it. No follow-up, no fight for his daughter, no attempt to make things right. Just acceptance that I was gone. But here's what I didn't expect, the support. Complete strangers reached out, sharing their own stories of family betrayal, financial abuse, being the scapegoat in toxic family dynamics. My DMs filled with messages like, "You gave me courage to leave," and "Thank you for showing what standing up looks like." The car dealership owner, the one who'd messaged me, actually drove up from California to return some of the money. "This felt wrong from the beginning," he said, handing me an envelope. "Your brother seemed off, too eager, too desperate. I should have asked more questions. It wasn't the full amount, but it was enough for me to buy a reliable used car and start fresh." Grandma Min welcomed me with the fierceness of someone who'd been waiting her whole life for this moment. "I knew something was wrong," she whispered as she held me that first night. "My letters, my gifts, they never felt received, you know. A grandmother knows when her love isn't reaching its destination." She helped me enroll in a graphic design program, something I'd dreamed about for years but never thought I could afford. With her support and the money I'd saved from not having to support a family that was actively stealing from me, I could finally chase something that felt like mine. The legal stuff is still ongoing. Turns out financial abuse between family members is complicated, but my lawyer thinks we have a strong case, not just for the money but for the emotional damage, the years of gaslighting, the systematic theft of opportunities. 3 months ago, Cody posted a video titled "My Truth, Family, Mistakes, and Growing Up." 47 minutes of carefully scripted apology, complete with tears and dramatic lighting. He talked about misunderstandings and family miscommunication, and how he was learning and growing from this experience. The comments were divided. Some people bought it, praising him for his vulnerability and accountability. Others saw right through it, calling out the manipulation, the way he centered himself in a story about my pain. But you know what? I didn't watch the whole thing. I got about 10 minutes in before I realized something profound. I didn't care anymore. His narrative, his redemption arc, his attempt to salvage his brand, none of it had anything to do with me. That's when I knew I was truly free. Last week I got a message from him, not public, not performative, just a simple text. "There's something else you should know about the car sale. Something I never told anyone. Can we talk?" I stared at that message for a long time. Part of me was curious, what else could there be? What other betrayal was waiting to be uncovered? But a bigger part of me, the part that's been healing in Grandma Min's unconditional love, didn't want to know. Some doors, once closed, should stay closed. I'm working at a local design firm now, creating logos and websites for small businesses. It's not glamorous, but it's mine. Every project I complete, every client who loves what I've created, every paycheck that goes into my own account, it all belongs to me. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting, I've learned. It's about not letting the people who hurt you continue to hold you back. It's about choosing your own peace over their redemption story. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd never found that bank statement, if that stranger had never reached out, if I'd continued living as the invisible daughter forever. Would I have eventually faded away completely? Would I have spent my whole life making excuses for people who saw me as expendable? I'll never know, and I'm grateful for that. Choosing myself wasn't selfish, it was survival. And some days when I'm sitting in this kitchen that smells like jasmine tea and acceptance, I think that's the most important lesson I ever learned. So here I am, 6 months later, finally living a life that feels like mine. But I keep thinking about that moment at the dinner table, the moment I chose to speak up instead of staying silent, the moment I chose truth over keeping the peace. And I wonder, what would you have done? Would you have confronted them publicly like I did, or would you have handled it privately? Would you have given them a chance to explain, to make it right? Or would you have walked away without looking back? Because here's the thing, there's no perfect answer. Some of you listening to this might think I was too harsh, that family deserves forgiveness no matter what. Others might think I should have burned it all down sooner, that I wasted too many years being their doormat. The truth is, every family betrayal is different. Every person's breaking point is different. What feels like justice to one person might feel like revenge to another. But what I know for certain is this. You teach people how to treat you by what you're willing to accept. And I spent years accepting crumbs while watching someone else feast on what was meant for me. Is family loyalty something that's earned? Or is it automatic just because you share DNA or live under the same roof? Should blood be thicker than respect, than honesty, than basic human decency? I used to think family meant everything. Now I think family means the people who actually show up for you, who celebrate your wins instead of stealing them, who lift you up instead of making you invisible. Sometimes that's the family you're born into. Sometimes it's the family you choose. And sometimes, like me, it's the grandmother who never stopped fighting for you, even when you didn't know you needed fighting for. Trust, once broken, changes everything. It changes how you see people, how you see yourself, how you move through the world. You can rebuild it, but it'll never be the same shape it was before. So I'm asking you, really asking you, what would you do? Have you ever been the invisible one in your family? Have you ever discovered that the people you trusted most were the ones hurting you behind your back? Drop your answer below. Tell your story. Because someone out there is sitting in their own version of my old bedroom, wondering if they're crazy for feeling forgotten, for suspecting something's not right. Someone needs to hear that they're not imagining it, that their feelings matter, that they deserve better. And if you want to hear more stories like this, real stories about real people who found the courage to choose themselves, hit that subscribe button. Because this channel isn't just about revenge, it's about recognition. It's about the moment you realize your worth isn't determined by how others treat you. Trust me, that realization, it changes everything. What would you do?